Nyx Comet Skyward. The static crackled on the comms, another routine patrol. They called me Comet, Nyx Skyward, but out here among the asteroid fields I was just a pilot. A mechanic, really. Keeping the old freighter, the Dust Eater, patched together was half the job. The other half was watching the scopes, looking for rocks that decided to wander too close to the colonies. It wasn't glorious work, just necessary. The colonies needed someone to keep the sky clear, someone to nudge the bad ones away. The pay was decent, the coffee was strong, and the silence was acceptable. The alarm blared, a harsh, insistent scream. Not a stray pebble, not a rogue mining drone. This was big. A Class 5 asteroid designation Cerberus on a direct trajectory for Ethelberg colony. Ethelberg, a new settlement, mostly farmers and families. Cerberus wasn't just big, it was fractured, unstable. One good hit and it would break apart, sending a swarm of debris across half the system. The message from command was clipped. Skyward, intercept, redirect or neutralize. That's an order like I had a choice. I cut the engine, letting the Dust Eater drift. No point wasting fuel getting emotional. Cerberus was a brute, a jagged monument of rock and ice. The calculations were grim. A direct impact would vaporize Ethelberg. A nudge wasn't going to cut it. I needed to fracture it, shatter it into harmless dust before it reached the colony. Risky, insanely risky, but it was the only way. I keyed the comms. Command prepping for a controlled fracture. Requesting authorization. The response came back cold and fast. Authorization granted. Skyward, do what you have to do. It always came down to doing what you had to do. The closer I got, the more unstable Cerberus looked. Fractures spiderwebbed across its surface, glowing with an eerie internal light. I wasn't alone either, scavengers. 3 of them in a patched-up cutter were already circling the asteroid, trying to crack it open for the valuable minerals inside. They didn't care about Ethelberg, they only cared about profit. They were a distraction, a complication. And then there was the interference. Someone, somewhere, was jamming my targeting systems, making the fracture calculations almost impossible. Someone didn't want me to succeed. I contacted the scavengers. Get clear. This rock is coming apart, they laughed. Finders keepers. Skyward. I ignored them. I had a colony to save. The fracture sequence started, the Dust Eater's energy cannons lancing out, striking Cerberus at calculated weak points. It should have worked, but the interference spiked, throwing off the timing. Instead of fracturing, the energy blasts stabilized the asteroid. Cerberus wasn't coming apart, it was accelerating. The colonists were issuing evacuation orders, but it was too late. The asteroid was going to hit. And then a transmission. A voice, cold and familiar, crackled over the comms. Enjoy the show, Skyward. Ethelberg was always destined to fall. It was Richter, an old rival, a pilot who'd been drummed out of the service years ago. He was behind the interference. He wanted to watch a colony burn. I tried to recalibrate, to adjust the fracture sequence, but it was no use. The interference was too strong. Every attempt was met with a counter-signal, a digital wall. I tried to target Richter's ship, but he was shielded, cloaked, a ghost in the asteroid field. The Dust Eater's systems were failing, overloaded from the constant interference. I was losing control. I was failing. Richter's voice taunted me. You were always a second-rate pilot, Skyward. Now watch your little colony disappear. I gripped the controls, my knuckles white. The realization hit me hard. I had underestimated him. I had been arrogant. And now a colony was going to pay the price. I shut down the energy cannons. Pointless. I needed a different approach, a desperate one. The Dust Eater wasn't a warship, it was a workhorse, a hauler, but it was equipped with a gravimetric winch designed to tow large asteroids. It wasn't meant for this. It was a long shot, a suicide run, but it was the only chance. I reconfigured the winch, focusing all available power. I had to get close, dangerously close, and use the winch to physically pull Cerberus off course. It wouldn't destroy it, but it might be enough to deflect it, to send it harmlessly past Ethelberg. I keyed the comms, my voice tight. Command preparing for a manual deflection. Requesting nothing, I'm on my own. The Dust Eater plunged towards Cerberus, a tiny speck against a mountain of rock and ice. The gravity well was immense, threatening to crush the ship. Richter's ship decloaked, firing a volley of energy blasts trying to disable me. I dodged, weaving through the debris field, relying on instinct and years of experience. I activated the winch, the cables snaking out, latching onto Cerberus. The strain was incredible, the ship groaning under the pressure. Richter kept firing, but I held steady, focusing all my energy on the winch. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, Cerberus began to deviate from its course. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Richter, enraged, made a final, desperate attack, ramming his ship towards the Dust Eater. I braced for impact. The collision sent the Dust Eater spinning, alarms blaring, systems failing. But the winch held. Cerberus, deflected by a fraction of a degree, sailed harmlessly past Ethelberg. The colonists were safe. Richter's ship, crippled by the collision, drifted away, a smoking wreck. The Dust Eater, battered and broken, limped towards the nearest space station. I sent a brief message to Command, Cerberus neutralized. Requesting repairs and a very strong cup of coffee. The silence that followed was acceptable. Another day, another rock, another colony saved, just necessary. It wasn't glorious, but it was enough.